executive order barring, I think New York State from doing business with any company suspected of sympathizing with BDS. One thing I can do as a legislator is once we build up enough, build up a large enough coalition for this, we overturn that executive order.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Nissim Black Show. Always a pleasure to be with you. Sometimes it feels like we are living in the twilight zone. Sometimes it feels as if things are not actually real as they're happening. What am I talking about? I'm talking about Zohran Mamdani. Zohran Mamdani. I cannot believe what's happening is actually happening. And as I said before, he is everything that I thought that he was and more. He's even more sinister. He's even more corrupt. He's even more evil than what I thought. And he's even much more of a jihadist than I thought. And I'm going to prove it for you today. I'm actually going to show you clip after clip. And I don't know if it's actually going to change, his standing right now as he's running for mayor. I don't know if it's actually going to change, but at least I will not be able to live with myself if I did not show you this. I will not be able to live with myself. And New York, I'm asking you, please wake up. Please wake up. Because you are about to make a decision that could quite possibly change the whole entire face of everything that New York was ever known for. And I'm telling you right now, I'm not a fearmonger guy. Like that's not even something that I would actually like to inject into you. And I want to be hopeful, and and things ultimately will be good because God is the one ruling the world. However, this is already a mistake. It's already a mistake. Zohran Mamdani was on a Zoom call before he was elected, or before he started his race as mayor. He said things over there that are very, very revealing. Things that are very revealing of what his agenda was, how he got to where he was. And I'm not going to just tell you about it. I am going to show you for yourself. I'm going to show you, because there's no way in the world that a man like this, with all this propaganda, and it's everything we were speculating, things that people were saying, but now you are about to hear from the horse's mouth himself. Unfortunately,
it can be a very lonely and isolating experience. I'm very lucky in that I have 5 other DSA endorsed comrades who are with me in the Assembly and in the State Senate. But for example, before we were elected, Julia Salazar was in office for 2 years without a single other socialist endorsed by DSA and understanding. It then makes it much easier to run a campaign that will be built around raising class consciousness, because we will run the campaign challenging the current status quo and showcasing it through our critique how this is an issue of capitalism.
And this is exactly what I'm saying. He wants to stack the Senate, so to speak, the state Senate, obviously, with more socialists, right, to be able to push his agenda, right? The agenda against capitalism, the agenda that pushes away you being able to control your future with your finances and be able to build a business in the way that you want. He wants to be able to stack the Senate with other like-minded people in order that he should be able to bring about radical change. Keyword, radical.
Good question. So there are 107 Democrats in the New York State Assembly out of 150 Assembly people. And of those 107 Democrats, there are 6 DSA endorsed electeds and 7 DSA members. We have a 7th person who's a DSA member, though she wasn't endorsed by DSA. Her name is Jessica Gonzalez Rojas. We clearly do not have the numbers as they are in this moment to win the radical legislation that we need to bring about.
Meaning they do not have enough socialists, right, in the Senate, not have enough socialists. Just keep it in perspective.
And begin to believe that these kinds of results are sufficient. We have to continue to elect more socialists, and we have to ensure that we are unapologetic about our socialism. Now, we had an academic boycott campaign and one of the aspects of that was to fight to stop study abroad at universities in Israel that were complicit in the occupation, many of which through the development of weapons technology for the IDF. Now, by bringing the issue of...
I hope you're listening. To bring the issue of,
Israel, Palestine, apartheid to Bowdoin, you bring it front and center, it's harder to ignore. And then making sure that we move to dismantle that relationship. those are things that you can do as a legislator, right? You can, like, for example, Governor Cuomo has an executive order barring, I think New York State from doing business with any company suspected of sympathizing with BDS.
Barring any companies or any organizations, right, that are complicit with the BDS, right, which we know is an enemy of America, enemy of Israel for sure, enemy to Jews for sure, also to America. There's a reason why Cuomo did that. He's trying to protect American interests, right? Mamdani, I hope you guys are watching this. Please listen to what this man has to say.
One thing I can do as a legislator is once we build up enough, build up a large enough coalition for this, we overturn that executive order. But I sincerely believe in this political project. I sincerely believe in socialism. For me, it was Palestine that brought me into this movement.
See, this is the same person who, as he's asked these days, he's got no opinion. I have no opinion on whether or not Hamas should put them. I have no opinion. I'm worried about the state of me. I have no opinion. What brought him into the movement? What brought him into wanting to make these radical changes? Palestine. This is what brought him into it. And this is the reason why he doesn't denounce the terrorism. This is the reason why he doesn't denounce, jihadism and terrorism. This is the reason why. Because this is what brought him in. I hope you're listening.
It is it can be such a lonely experience to be a socialist, and it was for me, country, because
it's a failed process already. Socialism is a failed attempt. We've already seen it. It's failed over and over again. This is the reason why socialism. You guys are about to vote for this guy.
Journey, as Zohran alluded to it and referred to, in organizing began at my college campus with Students for Justice in Palestine. To power this journey and understanding that it is socialism that we are fighting for this moment right now, right? If we're talking about the cancellation of student debt, if we're talking about Medicare for all, these are issues which have the groundswell of popular support across this country. But then there are also other issues that we firmly believe in, whether it's BDS, right? Or whether it is the end goal of ceasing the means of production.
And this is exactly what we thought it was. And he's saying it here out loud. Now, you notice that in these meetings, nobody's appalled by this, is because there are obviously other people that, you see that people were saying that we are dealing with socialists right now. Marxist socialists from Black Lives Matter, Antifa, we saw that this was all coming, but we were saying it, we knew this, we understood it, and we were recognizing what it was. Mamdani runs openly saying that this is what he is, and now we're seeing even more that this has been a plan all along. And there's a bigger plan at play here. The bigger plan is to usurp and to destroy the United States of America. This is what's at play right here. It's to conquer and destroy the United States of America. I want to play with you another clip of Mamdani, just because we have to follow this trail. We're going to follow this trail of first him. Now that was very telling because it was him revealing what his plan was. But then we have to follow the trail, and then we're going to move over to hear what he had to say. He gave a press conference on 9/11. But I want you to hear who was the victim. You have to hear this.
I want to speak to the memory of my aunt. Who stopped taking the subway after September 11th because she did not feel safe in her hijab.
Today he has this press conference. I watched a chunk of it. I didn't hear any words for the victims of 9/11, but he found the real victim, his aunt.
Is he?
The victims of 9/11 were in the Twin Towers.
What will we do without Scott Jennings? What would CNN do without Scott Jennings? I'm so thankful, at least, that they had enough sense to bring on a voice, at least to disagree with all of the nonsense and rhetoric that they are spewing on CNN. Oh, yeah.
Is the implication here that he has to answer for the terrorists who attacked 9/11?
No, I think if you're going to have a press,
That was a dumb question. That was a very, very dumb question. I have to go back because is that what he has to answer for the? No. But who were the victims of 9/11 is what Scott Jennings is getting at. Who were the victims of 9/11? Please, you guys, pay attention to what is going on in front of you. We are being bamboozled, and we have been bamboozled. And many of us have seen it, and many of us know it. But everything has changed now. Everything has been turned upside down. We are literally living in the time that the Bible says that evil will be called good and good will be called evil. And we are seeing it right now. And people are very confused. They don't know which is which.
Attacked 9/11?
No, I think if you're going to run for mayor of New York City, or have any position in New York City, and you're going to talk about 9/11 or invoke 9/11, you darn sure better start with the people who died in the Twin Towers. That's what I think. And he didn't do that. And he kind of, he made it about his experience and his aunt and all this. My advice would be, if you're going to want to be the mayor of this town, and by the way, he's probably going to win. That moment in our history, you cannot lose sight of what happened. People died in those Twin Towers. They did not deserve to die. We did suffer a terrorist attack. And we can't really forget the moment, making it about him and his family. Okay, there were almost 3,000 people that died there. It's a big deal. It is true. Mamdani, he has allied himself with certain people. A lot of the people that surround him, the people involved in this democratic socialist organization, I mean, they have said more than a handful of eyebrow-raising things when it comes to their views of America, their views of Jewish people, and so on and so forth. He knows that. He does align himself with them. He doesn't really distance himself.
And it is what it is. People will continue to ignore these things until it hits them in the face. But the problem is, ladies and gentlemen, it's already hitting us in the face. We're already seeing it. There's no way in the world that if you would have said 15 years ago, 20 years ago, I don't care, 5 years ago even, that a socialist, pro BDS, pro-jihadist, Muslim person would be running for mayor, and he'd be the leading candidate for the mayor of New York by 2025, nobody would have believed you. This is what I'm saying. It's like we're living on the Twilight Zone. I don't even have to say much because he's already telling on himself. But at the moment that a person's telling on themselves, and he's being very, very clear, at least about what his views are, I don't understand what else it is that we're supposed to do. Mamdani then goes from this, and you're going to see, hopefully, another video for you that will be revealing for you. It was very revealing for me about what it is. And it's not just him. Everybody right now is worried about the Jews. Oh, the Jews did. The Jews, the Jews, the Jews, the Jews. Israel, the Jews, the Jews. While ignoring that radical Islam has already almost steamrolled Europe. And they're taking over. They're Dearborn gone, already gone, right? And the thing about it, not only Mamdani, they're not even hiding it. They're very open about what their intentions are. But all of you are distracted with all that Qatar money floating around, worried about the Jews. We should be worried about Mamdani. Listen to what he says in the mosque.
Alhamdulillah, there are 1 million Muslims in this city. 200,000 of us are registered to vote as Democrats. In the last election, only 7% of us voted. Now, I will not blame anyone because often it feels like there isn't much to vote for. But this June 24th, with early voting starting tomorrow, it is an opportunity for us to show that Muslims don't just belong in New York City, we also belong in City Hall. Because yesterday I stood on the debate, and Andrew Cuomo stood next to me. And here was a man who was the governor for a decade, and he could not name a single mosque he had ever visited.
Like that's important. Is it really important? I mean, I guess obviously to the Muslim population.
Could not name it because he does not care.
The decision will be yours, New York. The decision will be yours. It is yours. But this is going to be a lesson for all of us to be able to see. I mean, I come from Seattle, so I'm not even going to talk about how far off the deep end they are over there. But these people have a plan to take over one by one. and they're not going anywhere. They're going to continue. This machine here is very well funded. It's very well funded. And everybody's backs are against the wall. If you do not show up to go vote, it says a lot about where you are, where your value system are, and what you stand for. But this guy is beyond a snake. He is beyond a wolf in sheep's clothing. But it ain't up to me. New York, you got some very, very important decisions to make. Thank you so much for watching. Please, again, make sure you like, subscribe, notification bell, and if you can, make sure that you pick up some merch. NissimBlack.store. Make sure you get yourself a cup, t-shirt, something, help and support this channel. Also, you can sign up for Glory Nation, which is my online community where we go deep into prayer and how to protect ourselves from being idiots. See you guys in the next video.